Hi Cancer, welcome to your January 2017 love reading. It's Rena here, just trying to remember that's 2017 because somebody corrected me yesterday and said I had done 2016. And so I had to edit that out, so I won't have to do that with you. Okay, so in what's happening in 2017 love-wise for you? Well, you're going to have the sun in the sun is going to be in your seventh house when it's in the sign of Capricorn. So for the first few weeks, and you're actually having a Mercury retrograde. Now that's actually starting in December in the sign of Capricorn. It's going to be like in the early degrees. So if you're watching in December, around the 19th, it's going to start retrograding. And so you may go over some issues with a partner. But this to me could even be if you're like separated. You may hear from your ex, but this would be somebody that's a serious partner, maybe it could be a current spouse that you have separated from, but not been talking to, or just maybe even an ex from the past. Well, obviously an ex is from the past, but you know what I mean. Somebody that was a serious relationship. Okay. It's so weird. Whenever I do these on camera, it looks different than when it turns out to be. See, I wonder if that's gonna look lopsided, but hold on. I just wanted to get it all in frame. There's that card again. It's soulmate card. So, yeah, I have to see. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out. Okay, let me just look at this for a second. Okay. Well, it looks to me like, obviously, usually I just talk about the overall theme, but I'll talk about the past. So for some of you, now this is a general reading, but for some of you, there was some kind of a heartbreak, betrayal, a sense of rejection that occurred. So this is, you would know whether or not this is true for you because this would have been in your past. And the other possibility too is that this card represents, an air sign individual, but because of the nature of the Three of Swords, I would say that it would possibly be somebody that, was probably incompatible with you. It's probably not like somebody who you had a great relationship with, an air sign individual. I would even say specifically it could be a Gemini because the number 3, the third house in astrology, is connected to Gemini. So if you're talking about air signs, maybe it's a Gemini individual. But the other air signs are Libra, which sometimes you have gravitational pull towards, because you have the cardinal modality in common, and then Aquarius is the other air sign. And I've never met a couple where one person was a Cancer and the other was an Aquarius. So I'm sure they're out there, but I've never met any. The overall theme is the Six of Pentacles. In this particular case, I think it's referring to, fairness. You see the scales, and they're with earthly matters. So, what does each person contribute on a tangible level? Not just monetarily. But, it's interesting because the pentacles do, tend to be associated with everything that is of the tangible variety. So it could be money, career, the body. So that includes health and sexuality, and maybe even land or something like that. Now, the point that I'm trying to make here is that, and of course the earth signs, so Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, perhaps that is somebody that is in your life right now. And I did mention Capricorn is opposing your sun which is going to be your 7th house, during the first 3 weeks, or your rising sign, I should say, too, if you're watching for that. But, I was thinking about this the other day about the pentacles and about that, drawing that in a love reading. And I think that one thing that you could say about this card is that it's saying, there are tangible things that can give you that sense of a relationship being, good for you, because it's not just a question of, when you talk about love, it's so vague, what is love? Sometimes love is something very thoughtful that a person does for you. And I was thinking like a Virgo, one of the earth signs, is one of those people that they might not be very romantic, but they might do thoughtful things for you. So that is kind of like, demonstrating caring. Rather than, it's easy to say I love you and then, not show it, in any way that matters. But it's harder to really invest your time into someone. And so maybe you realize now that, if you did have any kind of betrayal, that you deserve better. I think that's basically what I'm saying. Also that you deserve to be, in other words, that's not just you putting in all the effort, that the other person has to pull their weight, but it's not really like, okay, you have to, contribute 50% of your income or what have you to the relationship. It's about, you have to, want me as much as I want you. And not, it be a one-way street where I'm just pining away for you and you're just oblivious. Coming in with this is the Chariot card, which is your card, as a card of what is, coming in. The Chariot deals with some kind of success. And it may be like kind of under pressure that somebody succeeds. And you see that he's like a royal figure, like a king, and he's holding the reins of the horse. And it's funny, too, that he's got the moons, the half moons or the crescent moons on his, shoulders, and also on that thing that he's, whatever that rod is or whatever. And that is, your ruler is the moon. What I think this means, along with having the reins of that horse, it's like self-control. Being able to chart your own course without feeling like you're at the mercy of somebody else. But this card is associated with victory. It's the number 7. And again, I talked about the 7th house, that Capricorn is residing in that house for you during most of January. That's the 7th house of partnership. With this particular 6 of Pentacles along with that card, it says to me that whoever you may be with a different person now, perhaps it is with a Capricorn, maybe the 6 of Pentacles, because it's an earth sign energy and earthy energy, maybe that's the person that you're with. But it's something that I think that you raised your self-esteem somehow, because with the 3 of Swords, you may have doubted yourself. You may have felt unlovable or just in a negative state of mind if somebody did break your heart. And I would say that the Chariot represents you being able to kind of rise above it. And so to me, the victory is more on the emotional level. And, usually with the past position, I am talking about the recent past, but maybe for some of you, it was a long time ago that, you had a hurt that really affected your ability to fall in love again. And maybe something shifted within you and you were able to do so. The higher message is the Knight of Pentacles. So it's possible that your former partner was somebody that was unpredictable or unreliable. And this person is the opposite of that. Again, with the Pentacles, So it could be... Now, this card is particularly associated with Taurus, but it could be, another earth sign like Virgo or Capricorn again. Or somebody who has that as a big part of their chart or their signature, I should say, energetic signature, where they're very practical minded. This is a person who is very consistent, hardworking, has a financial goal that they're trying to meet, like, working for a down payment for their house or working for financial security. The downside of this person is they can get into a rut and they can be rather unimaginative because they can have tunnel vision about wanting to really create this nest egg or this security, but you're all about that. So that isn't something that you would ever criticize somebody about. And it can be a stark contrast of maybe somebody you were with in the past. And when I think of that Six of Pentacles, I think about almost like your self-worth. Even though, it shows somebody giving to somebody else, it's really like they are, to me, it's like they are reflecting on their own. It's like, in a way, it's like you can't give to another person unless you have it within you. And even financially, a lot of people who are, quote unquote cheapskates are people who don't feel prosperous enough to give to other people. And it has nothing to do with how much money you actually have. It has to do with your mindset. And, the limited thinking, the limited, what do they call that? I was going to say the lack consciousness. You have people that hardly have anything and they're super generous. And so it really has nothing to do with how much money you have. Those people who have very little and give know that it will be replenished. Whereas somebody else can be a miser and they may have a lot of money, but they are very fear-based when it comes to their money. And so the Six of Pentacles is somebody who is in a position to be able to give to those who are in need. And so I translate that for, personal relationships of somebody that has enough love within themselves, for themselves, to be able to give it to other people. Because again, it's hard to love someone if you don't love yourself. So with the Knight of Pentacles, as I say, it's associated with Taurus. I associate it with Capricorn, which is another earth sign. Because I see Capricorn out of the three earth signs as the most ambitious, and the Knight of Pentacles is ambitious. And by the way, this is a knight that is the least chaotic. It's actually a very stable knight. In the suit, in the court cards, the Knight of Pentacles is the one that is stable. The other ones have a sense of instability about them. The challenge card is the Two of Cups. This is kind of what I was referring to with that Mercury retrograde. There may be, you may have a dilemma on your hands. Or maybe somebody who wants to get back together, and I did say it would be somebody either that was serious in your past or a current estranged partner, and maybe you've met somebody new and you really have begun to move on, and now this person is complicating matters. And you may be like, okay, now what do I do now? And you feel like, I thought I was done with that. And so that may be, maybe this is the person, maybe the person is a water sign also. That's possible with the cups. It could be a fellow Cancer or a Scorpio or a Pisces individual who is trying to get back into your good graces. And that's the challenge, is what to do about that situation. Again, because it's a 2, it could be a choice that needs to be made. There's some dualistic or ambivalence about it. Now, because it's a challenge card, the choice may be be fraught with tension. It may not be like something you are looking forward to having to do. The advice is the 4 of Wands. This is the card of a happy marriage and a happy home. And so it might be that in order to make a decision, you have to just simply say, what will bring me closer to my goal of what I really want? This person or that person. And sometimes, it is that simple. Sometimes it really isn't that difficult, because you may be drawn to somebody because they're very exciting, but sometimes the excitement is due to their unpredictability and their unreliability. People who are like the Knight of Pentacles, who are very, consistent, can have the unfortunate, and I put that in air quotes, part of that being that the other person doesn't value them, because they can be taken advantage or taken for granted very easily because they are so reliable. Sometimes the salt of the earth people are the ones that get taken advantage of and taken for granted the most, because they are the ones that are the most available and the most reliable. And for people who have their own issues, they may not trust that. They may not even think that's a good quality, even though the opposite of that has been kind of wreaking havoc in their lives. It's funny how, good quality is like being consistent and some dependable can be seen as a liability when your head isn't screwed on correctly. And the outcome is the 6 of Cups. So that is that card of, maybe from the past, a love. Now, it could be that you end up with the 2 of Cups individual. Could very well be that. Maybe this person isn't that person. Maybe it's somebody totally different who wants to meet you again, and maybe you reunite. Now, this might be somebody who was your high school sweetheart, or somebody you knew even in grade school that maybe you weren't even like romantically involved, but you were, you knew each other, you cared for one another, and you were separated for some reason, and now they're back, and it's just like kind of almost like happily ever after type of a feeling. That innocence, the kind of the joy, the feeling that you can be yourself, the genuineness of it, no artifice, anything that's associated with children and how they interact with one another, the egolessness of that kind of a love. And so, yeah, very interesting, you could be reuniting with somebody, or you may have met someone new that kind of is that sort of a vibe for you. Somebody who does feel kind of like you've known them forever. It might be a soulmate connection. Okay, Cancer, I hope you enjoyed that. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link to my website below. Otherwise, have a great January. Bye.